So if you are an executor in British Columbia, you've probably heard about the probate fee. It is basically a tax on the estate. And honestly, it can be a massive surprise bill if you aren't ready for it. The reality is, the government usually wants this check before you even have access to the estate's bank accounts, which puts a lot of executors in a really tight spot. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how the BC government calculates this fees, what assets are actually exempt so you don't overpay, and I'm going to show you a tool that does all of the math for you so you don't have to stress about it. My name is Mark Parsons with eXp Realty, and I specialize in helping executors navigate the sale of estate properties here in the Lower Mainland. So let's dive right into it. So right off the bat, what exactly is this fee? The government calls it a probate fee, but let's call it what it really is. It's a tax in disguise. It is a required payment to the BC government to validate the will and grant you the authority to act as executor. But here's the catch, and this is the cash flow trap that catches so many people off guard. This fee often must be paid before you can legally distribute any assets or even sell the estate property. And typically it's due before you can even access the estate's frozen bank accounts. So you are starting at a bill and the money to pay it is locked up. So how much are we talking about? The math is actually pretty systematic. It works in 3 tiers based on the total value of the estate. Tier number 1 is the good news. The first $25,000 of the estate value is completely free, $0. Tier number 2, for the value between $25,000 and $50,000, the fee is 0.6%, which works out to about $6 for every $1,000. And then tier number 3, this is where the real cost comes in. Anything over $50,000 is taxed at 1.4%. That's $14 on every $1,000 of value. So let's look at a real world example, because 1.4% might not sound like a lot until you see it on paper. Let's say we have mom's house in the Lower Mainland valued at $1,750,000 and a bank account with $50,000 in it. So the total estate value is $1.8 million. Here's how the calculation breaks down. The first $25,000 is $0. The next $25,000 is just $150, but that remaining $1.75 million, that is taxed at 1.4%, which is $24,500. So the total bill you have to write a check for is $24,650 payable to the Minister of Finance. Now, before you panic about doing this math, I've linked my free probate fee calculator in the description below. You can just plug in your numbers and it will tell you this total instantly, so you don't have to do it on a napkin. Now, the thing is, not everything in an estate has to go through probate, and knowing this can save the estate thousands of dollars. So what skips the fee? First, and this is a big one, joint tenancy real estate. If the property was owned as joint tenants, which has the right of survivorship, it typically transfers automatically to the surviving owner, bypassing probate entirely. Second, named beneficiaries, things like RRSPs, TFSAs, and life insurance. If there is a direct beneficiary named on those accounts, that money usually goes straight to them. And finally, shares in private BC companies. Sometimes these can be exempt, but you 100% need to consult legal counsel on that one. So knowing the fee is one thing, but paying it is another. This is the number one problem I see executors face. The bank accounts are frozen. They are locked until probate is granted, but the government requires the payment before they issue the grant. So the executor is stuck thinking, I need $25,000 to get the grant, but I can't get the $25,000 until I have the grant. The solution is actually simpler than you think. Most banks will allow a direct release of the funds solely for the purpose of paying the probate fees. So just the amount of the fees. So you don't withdraw cash. The bank cuts a draft directly to the Minister of Finance. You just have to ask your branch manager for this specific release. So like I mentioned earlier, you don't need to guess at these numbers. I built this calculator specifically for BC Executors. It uses the 2025 fee structure and handles all those tiers automatically. It's linked right in the description below. It's free, no sign up required. Just go punch in your numbers so you know exactly what you are dealing with. And I'll give you a quick example here. So here we are on the landing page. You can just scroll down here. There's a video explaining the process. Down here, you've got your calculator. It's very, very simple. You type in the estimated assets and hit calculate fees, and it will put your it'll calculate your fees right out there. And again, it gives you direct access to the guide down here. You just enter your contact info and you can get the guide Selling Estate Property in British Columbia. Now, there are a few landmines here you need to watch out for. Mistake number one is undervaluing assets, using old appraisals, or just guessing at the property value. If you're wrong, it can lead to penalties and massive delays. Mistake number two is missing exemptions. Failing to identify those joint redundancies means you are paying tax on money you didn't have to. And finally, timing issues. Not arranging that fee payment method with the bank early enough causes unnecessary stress when the lawyer is waiting on you. And speaking of timing, this is the question everybody asks me. Mark, how long is this actually going to take? If you Google this or read the textbook answer, it will say 6 to 8 weeks for a straightforward estate. But I'm telling you right off the bat, do not plan your life around that number. The reality I'm seeing on the ground in the Lower Mainland in 2025 and going forward is that processing times are currently around 4 to 6 months from application to grant. Why the delay? It's just court backlogs and high processing volume. And this is exactly why the strategy of listing subject to probate is so common. It allows us to market the home and get it sold while you are waiting in that 6-month queue. So you aren't just sitting around losing time. And honestly, that timeline is just one part of the puzzle. There are vacancy insurance requirements and specific clauses you need to protect yourself. So I've put together a complete executor's checklist guide. It walks you through everything systematically, from securing the property to handling those timelines. You can download that guide for free using the link in the description below. And if you're looking for expert guidance on selling an estate property or just need a valuation to file your probate application, my contact info is also in the description below. Feel free to reach out. I'm Mark Parsons, and I'll see you on the next video.